let's shift the focus to supply chains. For the average person around the world who may not be involved in the subject, supply chains and rare earth became a subject dominating headlines over the past couple of years. The world seems to have woken up very late to the dangers of concentration of supply and supply deals which have been locked in over a multi-decadal framework, and this is disrupting the advancement of certain technologies, including in the electric vehicle space, even for a country like India. For those economies which haven't locked themselves into this, is there any hope that there could be a fairer sort of arrangement globally with regard to supplies in this area?
So when we talk about supply chains, we often talk about the distance that something physically travels in a supply chain, and that can be a factor of competitiveness. It is also interesting to look at geopolitical distance, if you will. So that means what we're seeing now is that countries that are maybe a bit more geopolitically aligned are trading more with each other. And to reassure, we are still seeing trade between geopolitically distant countries. So it's not like the world is fully fragmenting in its supply chains. But nonetheless, there is a bit more of a sense of friendshoring. I think we're seeing that come up more. Though, last point that I'll make here is that mid-aligned economies, ASEAN, Brazil, India, there we see the geopolitical distance of trade isn't changing. We're seeing there that the doors are being kept open, and we see these business are making sure to keep their options open in their supply chains.
That's an interesting point, because the geopolitical distance term that you use, India and China are next to each other, and therefore the geopolitical distance, the geographical distance is in fact minimal, but geopolitically the distance is very, very significant. So that's a good point that you make. Explain to us how you see India's ability and its economic size being able to allow it to play a significant role in the global realignment that is happening in this space. Do you think more needs to be done as far as Indian policy is concerned?
India is such a big player, as you've highlighted. And so as this global architecture shifts around trade, around many other areas of governance, it's vital that India is part of those conversations. And so we are pleased to have many representatives from states in India here with us for those conversations.
Okay. China, again, I don't know about how close you look at that subject, but China's role in the past 2-3 years also seems to have evolved from being the supplier of goods, at least a very significant supplier, to also denying technology. For instance, one of the very largest corporations in India hasn't been able to proceed ahead with a lithium battery plant because of denial of technology. There's denial of supplies, there's denial of heavy machinery. Is that a risk factor to, especially for large private corporations in emerging economies which want to look at these newer economy areas?
I'll give you a statistic to answer that. We've done another report where we interviewed over 50 corporations on how they are building up their geopolitical capacity. How prepared are they to handle that kind of evolution in international architecture? And only 1 in 5 of the companies we interviewed do have a geopolitical function reporting into the C-suite. I think given a more complex environment, our president and CEO will say one of the most complex geopolitical environments we've seen lately, we might see more companies building up that function and that capacity, because it's not something we've seen today.
What should that be called? Chief Crisis Officer?
So in the 1 in 5, in the 20% that do have that function, there are a variety of different names for it. Some have sort of a center, very few, but they'll have a group that will look after this. Some will have a senior advisor. Some will have someone who's more operating to coordinate across different functions, whether that's supply chain, legal, government affairs.